I said yes. I said yes to the proposal, to the ring, to the future everyone expected. I said yes, while his best friend stood 3 feet away, watching in silence, his face carefully blank. I said yes, even though my heart was screaming at me to stop, to wait, to tell the truth. But I didn't. I smiled and kissed my fiancé, and pretended everything was perfect. And that moment, that single moment of cowardice, set off a chain of events that would destroy everything, and somehow lead me to the happiness I never knew I deserved. My name is Natalie. I'm 38 years old, and this is the story of how saying yes to the wrong man led me to the right one. Let me start from the beginning, because you need to understand how I got here. How someone ends up saying yes to a proposal while secretly in love with someone else. I met Blake when I was 24. He was everything I thought I wanted. Successful lawyer, ambitious, driven, came from a good family. We met at a mutual friend's wedding. He asked me to dance. By the end of the night, he had my number. By the end of the month, we were exclusive. By the end of the year, everyone was asking when we'd get engaged. Blake was the kind of boyfriend who looked perfect on paper. He took me to nice restaurants, bought me thoughtful gifts, introduced me to his parents early, talked about our future like it was inevitable. We'd get married, have kids, buy a house in the suburbs, live the dream. And I wanted that. I really did. Or at least I thought I did. Because that's what you're supposed to want, right? Stability, security, someone who checks all the boxes, someone your parents approve of, someone who makes sense. Blake made sense. We made sense. Except for one problem. One massive, complicated, impossible problem. His best friend, Ryan. I met Ryan the same night I met Blake. They came to the wedding together. Ryan was Blake's college roommate, his best friend since freshman year. They were inseparable. Brothers, really. When Blake introduced us, Ryan shook my hand and said, "Nice to meet you," with a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. Like he already knew. Like he could see something coming that neither Blake nor I could see yet. Ryan was different from Blake in every way. Where Blake was polished and put together, Ryan was casual and relaxed. Where Blake wore expensive suits, Ryan wore jeans and band t-shirts. Where Blake worked in corporate law, Ryan was a high school English teacher who coached soccer on weekends. Where Blake talked about investment portfolios, Ryan talked about books and music and the kids he was helping. They were opposites. And maybe that's why they worked as friends. Balance, yin and yang. The ambitious one and the dreamer. For the first 6 months of dating Blake, Ryan was just his best friend, someone who was always around. Third wheel at dinners, hanging out at Blake's apartment when I came over. Part of the package. I was friendly with him, polite, but nothing more. Just my boyfriend's best friend. Then something shifted. I don't know exactly when. Maybe it was the night Blake got called into the office for an emergency and left me and Ryan alone at his apartment. We ended up talking for 3 hours. About everything. About books I loved and he'd read. About music. About his students. About my job in marketing that I didn't really love but paid well. About dreams we'd both put aside for practical things. Or maybe it was the night we all went to a concert together. Blake got too drunk and Ryan and I had to drive him home. We sat in the car after getting Blake inside, neither of us wanting to say goodnight, talking about the band, about life, about nothing and everything. Or maybe it was the morning I showed up at Blake's place early and found Ryan there making breakfast. Blake was still asleep. We had coffee together. He made me laugh so hard I snorted. And when Blake finally woke up and came downstairs, something in Ryan's expression changed, like he was putting on a mask, going back to being just the best friend. Whatever it was, whenever it happened, I started noticing Ryan, really noticing him. The way he listened when I talked, like every word mattered. The way he remembered small details I'd mentioned weeks before. The way he looked at me sometimes when he thought I wasn't watching. The way my heart would skip when his phone number showed up on my screen, even though it was always about Blake. I told myself it was nothing. Just appreciation for a good friend. Just enjoying his company. Blake was my boyfriend. Blake was who I was building a future with. Ryan was just his best friend. That's all. I almost believed it. Until the camping trip. Blake, Ryan, and I went camping about a year into my relationship with Blake. 3 days in the mountains. Blake had been stressed from work and thought getting away would help. It was supposed to be relaxing. Fun. Quality time. The first night, Blake got a call from his office. Some emergency with a case. He spent 3 hours on the phone, pacing by the campfire, completely absorbed. Ryan and I sat by the fire, roasting marshmallows, talking quietly so we wouldn't disturb Blake's call. "He's always like this," Ryan said, watching Blake pace. "Work comes first. Always has. Even in college, he'd miss parties, skip hangouts, anything to get ahead." "Doesn't it bother you?" I asked. "It used to, but that's who he is. Ambitious, driven. It's why he'll be successful. Why he's already successful." Ryan looked at me. "Does it bother you?" I thought about it. Honestly, sometimes I feel like I'm competing with his career. And losing. You're not competing. You're just not his priority. Ryan's voice was gentle but honest. "Blake loves you. But Blake loves success more. He always has. You'd need to be okay with being second." "Are you okay with being second? As his friend?" Ryan smiled, but it was sad. "I don't really have a choice, do I? He's my best friend. I accept him as he is." We sat in silence for a while. Then Ryan said quietly, "You deserve to be someone's first priority, Natalie. Not their second. Not their when I have time. Their first." The way he said it. The way he looked at me when he said it. My heart stopped. Because I knew. In that moment, I knew. Ryan had feelings for me. And God help me, I had feelings for him too. Blake came back from his call, apologizing, saying the crisis was handled. We roasted more marshmallows, told stories, went to bed. But everything had changed. Because now I knew. I wasn't imagining the connection with Ryan. It was real. It was mutual. And it was impossible. After that trip, I tried to distance myself from Ryan. Stopped going to hangouts if he'd be there. Made excuses. Kept conversations short. Blake noticed. "You and Ryan have a fight or something?" he asked. "You've been weird around him." "No fight. Just busy." Blake shrugged. "Okay, but Ryan mentioned you've been distant. Said he hopes he didn't do anything to offend you. He didn't. I'm just stressed with work." Another lie. I was getting good at lying. To Blake, to Ryan, to myself. But you can only avoid someone for so long when they're your boyfriend's best friend. Ryan was always there. Birthdays, holidays, random Tuesday dinners. Always there. Always watching me with those eyes that saw too much. Always being careful not to cross lines. Always being the good friend to Blake, even though I could see it killing him. 2 years into my relationship with Blake, I made a decision. I was going to marry him. I was going to commit fully. I was going to stop these ridiculous feelings for Ryan. Blake was good to me. Blake loved me. Blake was the right choice. The practical choice. The choice that made sense. So when Blake started hinting about proposals, about rings, about our future, I encouraged it. Told him I was ready. Told him I wanted to marry him. And I meant it. Or I thought I meant it. I wanted to mean it. Blake planned an elaborate proposal. Rented out our favorite restaurant. Invited close friends and family. Made it this big, beautiful event. I knew it was coming. He'd been dropping hints for weeks. "The ring is coming, Natalie. Get ready." The night of the proposal, I got dressed carefully. Put on the dress I knew Blake loved, did my hair, my makeup, looked at myself in the mirror and said, "You can do this. You love Blake. This is the right choice. Ryan is just a crush, just confusion. Blake is real. Blake is your future." I walked into that restaurant and saw everyone. My parents, Blake's parents, our friends, and Ryan, standing to the side, watching me walk in, his face carefully neutral. Blake gave this beautiful speech about how he knew the moment he met me that I was the one, about how I made him want to be better, about how he couldn't imagine his future without me, about how I was his everything. And then he got down on one knee, pulled out the ring, asked me to marry him, asked me to be his wife, asked me to choose him. Everyone was watching. Everyone was smiling. Everyone was waiting for me to say yes. My mother had tears in her eyes. Blake's mother was recording on her phone. Our friends were holding their breath in anticipation. And I looked at Ryan. Just for a second. Just one look. And I saw it. The pain. The resignation. The goodbye in his eyes. Because he knew. He knew if I said yes, that was it. Whatever this thing between us was, it would end. It had to end. "Say yes," my brain screamed. "This is the right choice. This is what you're supposed to do. Blake is good. Blake loves you. This makes sense." But my heart, my treacherous heart, was screaming something else entirely. It was screaming don't. It was screaming wrong man. It was screaming Ryan. Blake was still on one knee, looking up at me with so much hope, so much love, so much certainty that I'd say yes. Because why wouldn't I? We made sense. We fit. We were perfect on paper. I opened my mouth, and I said yes. "Yes, I'll marry you." The room erupted. Cheers. Applause. My mother rushed over crying. Blake stood up, put the ring on my finger, kissed me. Everyone crowded around. "Congratulations. So happy for you. Beautiful couple. Perfect match." And through it all, I watched Ryan. He was clapping, smiling, congratulating Blake with a hug, playing the role of happy best friend perfectly. But I saw it, the moment his mask slipped. Just for a second. The devastation, the heartbreak, the loss. Then he caught me watching. Our eyes met across the room, and without a word, without a sound, he said goodbye. Turned and walked out of the restaurant, left the celebration, left Blake, left me. Nobody noticed except me. Everyone was too busy celebrating the engagement, looking at my ring, asking about wedding plans, making toasts. Nobody noticed that Blake's best friend was gone. Blake noticed eventually. "Where'd Ryan go?" he asked, looking around. "I don't know. Maybe he wasn't feeling well. Weird. He seemed fine earlier." Blake shrugged. "I'll call him tomorrow." But he didn't have to, because Ryan called him first, the next morning. And I could hear Blake's side of the conversation from the kitchen where I was making coffee, trying not to think about the massive mistake I'd just made. "What do you mean you're leaving?" Blake's voice was shocked, confused, hurt. "What job? When? Why didn't you tell me?" A pause while Ryan explained. "South Korea? For a year?" "Blake, that's huge, man. Why so sudden? Is this because—" Another pause. "No, of course not. I thought we'd talk about big decisions like this. You're my best friend." Another longer pause. Yeah, I get it. Opportunities don't wait. I'm happy for you. Really. Confused, but happy. When do you leave?" Pause. 2 weeks? Jesus, Ryan, that's fast. Okay. Yeah, We'll have to get together before you go. Celebrate. Say goodbye properly. Miss you already, man. Blake hung up, stared at his phone, looked at me. Ryan got a job teaching English in South Korea, leaving in 2 weeks. Can you believe that? Out of nowhere. He sounded, I don't know, different, distant. Maybe he needs a change, I said carefully, gripping my coffee mug to stop my hands from shaking. Yeah. Maybe. Still weird, though. Weird timing. That night, I lay in bed next to Blake, who was already asleep. My engagement ring felt heavy on my finger. Wrong. Like I was wearing handcuffs instead of a promise. Ryan was leaving, running away, to the other side of the world, because of me, because I'd said yes to Blake, because I'd chosen wrong and we both knew it. I grabbed my phone, typed out a message to Ryan, deleted it, typed another, deleted that too. What could I even say? Don't leave? I made a mistake. I should have said no. I'm in love with you. All of those things were true, but I couldn't say any of them, because I was engaged to his best friend, because I'd made my choice, because it was too late. I settled on something simple. Safe. I'm sorry. 3 dots appeared immediately, like he'd been waiting, hoping I'd text, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, a response. Me too. 2 weeks later, a group of us gathered to say goodbye to Ryan. Blake organized it. Drinks at our favorite bar. Ryan was leaving the next morning. His stuff was already shipped. His apartment already empty. Just one last night with friends. I almost didn't go. Made up an excuse about being tired, but Blake insisted. You have to come. Ryan would be hurt if you weren't there. You're part of the group now. So I went. Wore something casual. Told myself I could do this. One night. Say goodbye like a normal person. Like someone who didn't have feelings they shouldn't have. Like Blake's fiancé. Not someone whose heart was breaking. Ryan looked good. Lighter somehow. Like leaving was freeing him from something heavy. He laughed at jokes. Told stories about his new job. Talked about his excitement for the adventure. Acted like he wasn't running away. Like this was just a normal career move. But I knew better. And when our eyes met across the table, I knew he knew I knew. Near the end of the night, Blake went to the bathroom. Left Ryan and me alone for the first time since the proposal. The silence was deafening. Congratulations, Ryan finally said, nodding at my ring. Blake's a lucky guy. Thank you. Are you happy? The question caught me off guard. Because it was direct. Because it demanded honesty. Because we both knew the answer. I'm engaged, I said instead of answering. That's not what I asked. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. What makes sense? Ryan leaned forward. His voice was low, intense. Life is too short to do what makes sense, Natalie. Life is too short to be with someone out of obligation. Life is too short to ignore what your heart is telling you. And what is my heart telling me? He looked at me. Really looked at me. You know what it's telling you. You've always known. You're just too scared to listen. Blake came back before I could respond. The moment broke. Ryan went back to being the happy guy leaving for an adventure. I went back to being Blake's perfect fiancé. We all went back to pretending. When we said goodbye at the end of the night, Ryan hugged Blake. Long and hard. Love you, man. Best friend for life. Take care of yourself. Then he turned to me. Hugged me briefly. Properly. The kind of hug you give your friend's fiancé. Nothing inappropriate. Nothing wrong. But he whispered something as he pulled away. Something only I could hear. If you ever realize you chose wrong, call me. Even if I'm on the other side of the world. Call me. And then he was gone. Out of the bar. Out of the city. Out of the country. Gone. Blake planned the wedding for a year later, gave us time to save money, to plan properly, to do it right. And I went along with it. Because what else could I do? I'd said yes. I'd made my choice. Ryan was gone. I had to live with my decision. But every day felt wrong. Every wedding decision felt forced. Flowers? I didn't care. Dress? Didn't matter. Venue? Blake's choice. I was going through the motions, playing the part of excited bride. But inside, I was numb. 6 months into wedding planning, Blake started noticing. You're not excited about any of this. You haven't been excited since I proposed. What's wrong? Nothing. Just stressed. Is it Ryan leaving? Are you upset he won't be at the wedding? Yes, I lied. That's it. I miss him being around. Me too, Blake said. But he's happy in Korea. We video chat every week. He's thriving over there, teaching kids, traveling, living his best life. Good. I'm glad. But I wasn't glad. I was miserable. Because Ryan was living authentically while I was living a lie. And that wasn't fair to anyone. Not to me. Not to Blake. Not even to Ryan, who'd left everything because I'd been too coward to tell the truth. Okay, stop. I need to pause here because I need your help. I'm 6 months away from marrying Blake. Ryan is on the other side of the world. I'm living a lie, and everyone can see I'm not happy. What would you do? Would you go through with the wedding? Would you call Ryan? Would you tell Blake the truth? Drop your answer in the comments right now, because what I decide to do next changes everything. And please, hit that subscribe button if you want to know what happens. Because the twist in this story, what I discover about both Blake and Ryan, will absolutely shock you. 3 months before the wedding, I hit rock bottom. I was at a dress fitting with my mother and maid of honor, staring at myself in this beautiful white dress that cost more than my car. And I started crying. Not happy tears. Not emotional bride tears. Real gut-wrenching sobs. "Sweetie, what's wrong?" my mother asked, alarmed. "You look beautiful." "I can't do this," I said through tears. "I can't marry him." "Wedding nerves," my maid of honor said quickly, shooting my mother a look. "Completely normal. Everyone gets cold feet." "This isn't cold feet." I shook my head, mascara running down my face. This is me realizing I'm about to make the biggest mistake of my life. I don't love Blake. Not the way I should. Not the way he deserves. My mother went pale. "Natalie, you're engaged. The wedding is in 3 months. The deposits are paid. The guests are invited. You can't just change your mind now. Why not? Because it's inconvenient? Because people will talk? Those aren't reasons to marry someone, Mom." "Then what is the reason?" my mother asked. "Because from where I'm standing, Blake is perfect. He's successful, kind, comes from a good family. What more do you want? I want to feel alive. I want to feel like myself. I want to be with someone who makes me want to be better, not just someone who looks good on paper." "This is about Ryan," my maid of honor said quietly. "Isn't it?" I looked at her, shocked. "How did you know?" "I've known since the engagement party. The way you looked at him. The way he looked at you. The way he left right after you said yes. It wasn't hard to figure out." "Who's Ryan?" my mother demanded. "Blake's best friend. The one who moved to Korea." "You're in love with your fiancé's best friend?" My mother's voice rose. "Natalie, that's unacceptable. You made a commitment to Blake. A commitment I should never have made. Because I was settling. Because I thought Blake was the right choice. Because I was too scared to admit what I really felt. And what do you really feel?" "I'm in love with Ryan. I have been for years. And I said yes to Blake anyway, because I was a coward. Because I thought doing the right thing meant ignoring my feelings. but all I've done is make 3 people miserable. You need to tell Blake, my maid of honor said, before this goes any further. He deserves to know the truth. She was right. I knew she was right. I changed out of the wedding dress, went home, and waited for Blake to get back from work. Rehearsed what I'd say, how I'd explain, how I'd apologize for wasting his time, for saying yes when I should have said no. Blake came home at 8 p.m., carrying his briefcase, looking exhausted. Long day? I asked. Brutal. 3 depositions back to back. I'm wiped. He loosened his tie. How was dress shopping? We need to talk. Something in my voice made him stop. Look at me, really look at me. Okay. What's wrong? I can't marry you, I said simply. I'm sorry, Blake. I should have told you a long time ago. But I can't marry you. Blake sat down slowly on the couch. His face was unreadable. Is this about Ryan? My heart stopped. You know? I've always known, Blake said quietly. From the beginning. I saw the way you 2 looked at each other at my engagement party. The way he left right after you said yes. The way you've been miserable ever since. I'm a lawyer, Natalie. I notice things. If you knew, why didn't you say anything? Because I thought if I just kept moving forward, if I just married you, you'd eventually feel for me what you feel for him. Or at least you'd forget about him. I thought I could make you love me the way I love you. Blake, I know, it's stupid. You can't force feelings. But I was desperate. I wanted you so badly I was willing to ignore reality, willing to marry someone who's in love with someone else. Blake laughed bitterly. How pathetic is that? It's not pathetic. It's human. We both made mistakes here. You're going to go to him, aren't you? To Korea? I don't know. Maybe. First, I need to figure out who I am without either of you. That's fair. Blake stood up. I'll make this easy. I'll tell everyone I called off the wedding. Work commitments. Not ready. Whatever. You won't be the bad guy. Blake, you don't have to. Yes, I do. Because despite everything, I do love you. And people who love each other don't make each other miserable. Even if that means letting go. I'm sorry. Yeah, me too. Blake moved out the next day. Stayed with his parents while we figured out logistics. Told everyone he'd called off the wedding due to work stress. Took all the blame. Returned the ring. Canceled everything. Made it as easy as possible for me. And I felt relief. Overwhelming, crushing relief. Because I wasn't going to marry the wrong person. I wasn't going to live a lie. I was free. But I didn't call Ryan. Not yet. Because I needed to figure out who I was first. Needed to learn to be alone. To be myself without defining myself by a relationship. I got therapy. Started painting again. Something I'd given up in college. Spent time with friends. Reconnected with family. Figured out what made me happy outside of romantic relationships. 6 months passed. I was doing better. Not great, but better. I'd moved into my own apartment. Got a promotion at work. Started actually living instead of just existing. Then I got a notification on social media. Ryan had posted a photo. Him with a group of students in Korea. Big smile. Looked happy. Looked free. The caption said, "Best job I've ever had." These kids make every day worthwhile. Grateful for this adventure. I stared at that photo for 20 minutes. Then I opened a message. Started typing. Deleted it. Typed again. Deleted. Finally settled on something simple. Hey, how are you? I miss you. 3 dots appeared almost immediately. Hey, yourself. I'm good. Really good, actually. How are you? How's wedding planning? I took a deep breath. There's no wedding. Blake and I broke up 6 months ago. He knew. About my feelings for you. We both agreed we were making a mistake. The dots appeared and disappeared several times. Finally, I'm sorry. That must have been hard. It was. But it was also right. I've spent the last 6 months figuring out who I am, what I want. And one thing I know for sure is that I was wrong. Wrong to say yes to Blake. Wrong to ignore my feelings. Wrong to let you leave without telling you the truth. And what is the truth? That I've been in love with you since that camping trip. Maybe before. That I said yes to Blake because I was scared. That watching you leave was the worst thing I've ever felt. That I think about you every day. That I don't know if you still feel anything for me after everything. But I had to tell you. I had to be honest. Finally. No response for 5 minutes. Then 10. My heart sank. I'd waited too long. He'd moved on. Of course he had. Why wouldn't he? I'd chosen someone else. Broken his heart. Left him no choice but to leave the country. Finally, my phone rang. Video call from Ryan. I answered with shaking hands. There he was. On my screen. In his apartment in Korea. Looking exactly the same but also different. More settled. More at peace. Hi, I whispered. Hi. He was smiling. Actually smiling. You have no idea how long I've waited to hear you say that. Say what? That you're in love with me. That you chose wrong. That there's a chance for us. Even after everything? After I broke your heart? After you had to leave the country? Natalie, I would have waited forever. I would have stayed in Korea the rest of my life if you were happy with Blake. But if you're telling me you're not, if you're telling me there's a chance, then I'm coming home. You love it there. Your job, your students. I love you more. Always have. Always will. The job will still be here. Korea will still be here. But you, finally being available, finally being mine, that's once in a lifetime. When can you come home? My contract ends in 3 months. I'll finish it out, tie up loose ends, say proper goodbyes, and then I'm coming home. To you. If you'll have me, I'll wait. 3 months is nothing compared to 3 years of wanting you. Those 3 months were agony and excitement mixed together. We video chatted every day, talked for hours, learned everything about each other we didn't already know, made plans, talked about the future, talked about us. Finally, honestly, without Blake between us, without guilt or shame or impossibility. The day Ryan's plane landed, I was at the airport 3 hours early, pacing, checking the arrivals board obsessively, terrified and excited and hoping I hadn't built this up too much in my head, hoping the reality matched the fantasy. His flight landed. I waited at arrivals, watching passengers stream out, business travelers, families, students, and then I saw him. Ryan. With a backpack and a duffel bag and the biggest smile I'd ever seen. He saw me at the same moment, dropped his bags, started walking, then jogging, then running. And I ran too. Ran to him, to us, to everything we should have been years ago. We crashed together in the middle of the airport, his arms around me, my face buried in his chest, both of us laughing and crying at the same time. You're here, I said into his shirt. You're really here. I'm home, he said into my hair. Finally home. He pulled back just enough to look at me. Then he kissed me. Right there in the airport with hundreds of people around. Kissed me like he'd been waiting his whole life to do it. And maybe he had. Maybe we both had. That was 8 months ago. 8 months of the most real, honest, beautiful relationship I've ever had. 8 months of being with someone who sees all of me and loves all of me. 8 months of feeling alive instead of just existing. Ryan got a teaching job at the high school 20 minutes from my apartment. Moved into a place nearby. We take things slow. No rushing, no pressure. Just enjoying being together. Being ourselves. Being real. Last week, we ran into Blake at a coffee shop. It was the first time I'd seen him since the breakup. My heart clenched with guilt and worry. But Blake smiled, shook Ryan's hand, congratulated us, told us he was seeing someone new, someone from his firm who actually wanted the life he wanted, someone who chose him first. "I'm happy for you," Blake said. "Both of you. I mean that." And I could tell he did. Because Blake was a good person. We just weren't right for each other. And now we were all where we belonged. But here's the twist. Here's what I discovered that changed everything I thought I knew about that engagement night. 2 months ago, Ryan finally told me the truth. The full truth about why he left so suddenly, why he moved to Korea with only 2 weeks' notice, why he chose that particular job at that particular time. Blake asked me to leave. Ryan admitted. The night of the proposal. After everyone left and you went home. Blake called me, said he knew. Said he'd always known. Said he was going to marry you anyway, but he needed me gone. Needed me to give him a fair shot. So he called in a favor, got me that job in Korea, and asked me to go. As his best friend. Blake knew. I was shocked. He knew before the proposal. He knew everything. The feelings between us. The camping trip. All of it. And he proposed anyway. Hoping distance and time would make you forget me. Make you love him instead. That's why you left so fast. Not because you wanted to run. Because Blake asked you to. He's my best friend, Natalie. Or he was. How could I say no? He loved you. He wanted you. And you'd said yes to him. So I left. Gave him his chance. Tried to move on. But he let me go. When I called off the wedding. He made it easy. Because he realized it wasn't working. That you can't force love. That asking me to leave didn't change how you felt. Ryan pulled me close. We wasted so much time. So many years. Because we were both trying to do the right thing for Blake. But Natalie, Blake was never the right thing for you. I was. I always was. We just had to figure that out the hard way. He was right. We'd wasted years. But maybe we needed to. Maybe I needed to say yes to Blake to realize it was wrong. Maybe Ryan needed to leave to realize what he was leaving behind. Maybe Blake needed to try to make it work, to realize you can't force love. Last night, Ryan took me to the same restaurant where Blake had proposed. I was confused at first, worried he was going to propose and I wasn't ready. But he just smiled and led me to a table by the window. "Relax," he said. "No proposals tonight." I learned from Blake's mistake. When I propose, it'll be private. Just us. No pressure, no audience, just you and me and the truth. When you propose, I raised an eyebrow. When, not if. Because Natalie, I'm going to marry you someday. When we're both ready, when it's right. When you look at me and know with absolute certainty that I'm it. That's when I'll ask. And that's when you'll say yes. The right yes. To the right person. How do you know I'll say yes? Because this time, there won't be someone standing in the corner watching in silence. This time, there won't be doubt. This time, you'll be choosing with your whole heart. And I'm patient. I'll wait as long as it takes. I reached across the table and took his hand. You might not have to wait long. He smiled. That smile that made me fall for him in the first place. Good. Because I've been waiting for you my whole life. What's a little longer? My name is Natalie. I'm 28 years old. I said yes to my boyfriend's proposal while his best friend watched in silence. It was the wrong yes at the wrong time to the wrong person. But somehow, that wrong yes led me to the right person. Led me to Ryan. Led me to real, honest, all-consuming love. Sometimes you have to choose wrong to learn how to choose right. Sometimes you have to lose yourself to find yourself. Sometimes you have to break hearts, including your own, to end up where you're meant to be. And I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. with Ryan. Finally, completely, forever. If you made it to the end, thank you. Thank you for not judging me for saying yes to the wrong person. Thank you for understanding that sometimes we make mistakes because we're scared. If this story touched you, if it reminded you that it's never too late to choose yourself, to choose real love over what looks good on paper, please hit that like button. Share this video with someone who needs to hear that it's okay to change your mind, that it's okay to choose happiness over obligation. And subscribe for more real stories about second chances, about choosing yourself, about finding the courage to live authentically. Drop a comment and tell me, have you ever said yes to something you knew was wrong? How did you find the courage to change course? I read every comment, and I'd love to hear your story. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening without judgment.